Well, the Barbie movie is out today. The marketing leading up to the big release has dusted off people's longtime love for Mattel's iconic doll. Studios are leaning on big brands to help them draw bigger audiences and rake in more money. To help us understand more about this, I want to bring in Hope King. She's a senior business reporter for Axios. Really good to see you. I sort of got for like 3 weeks. I've been saying, what, the movie's not out yet? Because the marketing has been so intense. I kept on thinking the movie was already out, but it's finally coming out.
Totally. Yeah, and it's great to be back with you. I'm so happy we get to talk about this fun story on this Friday. And you're right. I mean, they made a meme generator on their website to really drum up the social media promotion as well, and that's free marketing for them, right? You and I putting our photos inside of a Barbie logo. I mean, that you can't get better advertising than that to spread the excitement for the movie. And you're right, the franchises that we're seeing right now, and we're going to see more from Mattel, by the way. I think they have announced about 14 films based on their IP, their toys. So we've got Thomas and Friends coming out. We have Barney coming out. We have Wishbone. I don't know if you ever watched Wishbone or if you had kids who watched it, and they're leaning heavily into this because they know that there's already a big loyal audience for these characters who maybe have watched the shows or the films. And what's really driving this is really, you know, Netflix streaming has made us much more comfortable at home watching films. And then the pandemic has still really curbed audiences from going out. And I think, according to a couple of estimates that I've seen, about 15 to 18% of audiences still haven't returned to theaters yet. So how do you get them to come back out? You tell them, here's a story that you love. Maybe you'll come out. And then lastly, there's a lot of fear in these studios that if they put out a movie that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to produce, they want guaranteed returns. They want to know that there's going to be people in those seats.
Yeah, there's not a lot of risk taking. It's either a sequel, it seems like, or something associated with a beloved brand. And I feel like there's two different categories, right? There's like the movie Air and the one about BlackBerry. That was kind of like about the people behind the brand that believed in this sort of game-changing product. And then there's something like Barbie, which is literally about the brand. What types of popular franchises connect best with film and TV audiences?
Well, I think because we have such fragmented platforms now, right, where, you know, some of these films that you mentioned, Air and BlackBerry, I mean, that's targeted to folks who are interested in business or interested in those companies specifically, as you mentioned, and they can do well in the releases that they are out in, like in specific theaters and regions, and then streaming as well. But if you really want to get those big box office numbers, and, you know, this weekend there's also Oppenheimer coming out, which is Christopher Nolan's big thriller. Those, you know, I mean, that's not a franchise, right? I mean, Oppenheimer is a standalone movie, but there's a lot of buzz generated around it because it's IMAX, because of the story. And typically, though, if you look at the best performing franchises at the box office, it's what you expect. It's Marvel, it's Spider-Man, it's Harry Potter, it's you know, all of these storylines that require a lot of you know, CGI, visual effects to bring it to life, and it doesn't look as good, right, on a smaller screen, and so people are still going out for those.
Well, my next question was going to be, I was thinking about Mission Impossible 2 is another one, right? That you know, is the audience just going to get exhausted? Like, if the idea is to get people back into theaters the way they were doing it before, I mean, is kind of like reheating these leftovers, and that's not a good way, I mean, because they're good, they're delicious, sometimes leftovers are delicious, but just kind of always going back to the well, is there a risk that the audience is like, look, you got to give me something new?
Oh, there's absolutely leftover fatigue. I love leftovers as well, but up until like maybe the second or third day, right? Maybe not the fourth or fifth day. It's not going to last as well in the fridge. And we saw a little bit of Marvel fatigue, you know, over the last couple of years, and that's why the Nintendo movie Super Mario Brothers did so well, because it was something fresh. Right, it was a new franchise that they're starting, and, you know, but it was still action. It was still family oriented. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Some of these, especially if you look at the, you know, the DC universe, I mean, those storylines can get overheated, to your point. And so there is a bit of risk now, even in getting new franchises, or excuse me, extending existing franchises for you know, more and more years.
Yeah. It's fascinating, though, and, you know, I'll probably be one of those Barbenheimer people. I'll see both, I'm sure. Hope King.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Hope.